So we've had a couple of days to digest the Vikings' victory over the Packers on Sunday, and since that time, a couple of different camps have emerged in terms of how they view that victory and what it means for the trajectory of this team going forward. So we have the one side where they view this win as a problem. This to them seems like a course correction that's going to inevitably delay the necessary changes that need to be made for this team to return to competitive dominance that we saw last year and the years before, especially on defense, and it sort of ruins the narrative that Mike Zimmer might be on the hot seat. There are some truths to that, but we'll go ahead and break that down really quick because I'm in the other camp that believes that despite ruining your draft status at least for this week, this win doesn't change too much of anything. So I think at front and center, we need to enjoy the win, guys. This is the last time we play the Packers for the year. We won't see them again until 2021. They completely throttled us in the first game this season in Week 1 in our stadium. So this is some revenge, and I think we need to take this revenge and gloat about it as much as we possibly can, because we don't know what this roster is going to look like next year, and there's a potential that things could get worse and we get swept by them next year, and I don't think anybody wants that. So the fact that we got to play spoiler, at least, for this week, to make them stew for a while in a season where Green Bay looks like it should be beating teams like us that are 1-5, they now have to go on and play Thursday Night Football against the 49ers with this loss fresh in their mind. So that is that side of it. The other side is that I don't think that this changes too much because, you look at what happened in the game and you sort of take a look at the grand scheme of things, and I don't think that this is a sustainable model for this team going forward. Yes, it's what they want to do, and that's play defense and run the football and only throw when it's necessary. But let's be realistic. What are we playing here? We're not playing football in the 90s anymore. This is the modern NFL in 2020. This is a passing league. The rules are designed for it. That type of offense, when you get into a situation against a team with a high-powered offense, like Kansas City, Baltimore, it's not going to work. If the goal is to win a Super Bowl and it's a copycat league, you have to sort of follow the trends. Now, you can have success bucking the trends, which is we have seen in recent years, most notably last year with the 49ers, who basically took the model that I think most of us wanted to win with, was good defense and a really good running game and a quarterback that, is a good game manager, right? So while there's precedent for that to be successful, the problem is it doesn't get you over the hump because the 49ers lost last season to the Kansas City Chiefs with the most high-powered offense in the league and an offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, that everybody's going to be looking at as a next NFL head coach for next season. So I don't believe that the game plan or the scheme that we put forth in the victory over Green Bay is going to be sustainable for the rest of the season. I've always said that, this team is talented enough to win a few games and maybe even a few games that it shouldn't. And we saw that result last week. Now we have a pretty decent schedule coming up. We got the Bears, the Lions, the Jaguars. I think the Cowboys are on there somewhere. I haven't looked too far ahead to the end, just the next couple of weeks. So there's games that are completely winnable. We should definitely beat the Cowboys. We probably can get away with beating the Bears. Division games are harder because, as I said, going into Green Bay, you never know what could happen because these are the teams that play each other the most, and they've always got extra motivation when it comes to the divisional rivals. So we should definitely not sleep on the Lions or the Bears. And that also means that, the fact that people were hoping to get one of the top quarterbacks in this draft, like a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that was always out of reach. Despite what we do for the rest of the year, there is nothing that is going to change the top of the draft order right now that has solidified the New York Jets and the New York Giants as the two worst teams in the league, outside of just some, oddball antics, which I don't foresee happening because after watching, the Giants and the Jets this weekend, they're done. They're lost completely. There's no argument to be made that there's anybody worse than those two. So the idea that we're going to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields has always been a pipe dream. And we basically got to enjoy one last chocolate factory dream, Willy Wonka style, if you will, before we won against the Packers. And I think it's probably better to win that game and sort of close that window of opportunity so that we don't get these unrealistic expectations that a 5th-round pick or a 5th overall pick is going to be good enough to get one of those two guys, because Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, despite where we end at the end of the season in terms of draft stock, as of right now, as of the first week of November, those guys falling out of the top 3 is unrealistic. And we need to, make peace with that. This also doesn't change anything in the grand scheme of things, because that's a fluke game that we won against the Packers. Let's be realistic, because Mother Nature handed us a really, really nice assist with all of that win. So the game plan was, Mike Zimmer was like, the wind needs to get stronger. It needs to just be more chaotic. We want the wind to take away the passing game from the Packers, because that's their strength, right? They have a Super Bowl quarterback, and they have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback playing at an MVP level this season. And we don't. So the less passing that needs to happen is good for us. So that was, one advantage that is not going to happen, maybe at all for the rest of the year. And then also, we have a Packers defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin, for whatever reason, decides not to game plan for Dalvin Cook and not to force Kirk Cousins to win the game. I'm completely blown away that they blew that. And, they face other teams coming up, like the 49ers, that are going to want to run the ball. And if they don't fix it, they're going to be in trouble. So I think this is a one-off. This win against the Packers is a one-off. I still think that we're going to be due for somewhere between 4 and 6 wins this season. A lot of experts seem to peg us for about 6 to 10 to finish the season, and it's hyper realistic. So we need to be better prepared that this team is not tank worthy. It's still good enough that it's going to win games, but at the same time, I don't think this changes anything. I'm still on Team Fire Zimmer. I'm still on Team Bench Kirk Cousins, because when your game plan for your quarterbacks is to throw 14 times and all of those passes are going to be 9 yards or less, that's a huge white flag that says we give up on trying to make this guy work, because clearly when we give him an opportunity to lead the offense, he throws interceptions, given the fact that he's now second in the league in turnovers or interceptions. I forget. I think it was Carson Wentz that passed him this weekend on the Sunday night game. But yeah, it doesn't change anything. It gives us a crooked number in the win column. But at the end of the day, we still need to make dramatic changes to this team in order to be competitive at the next level. Because right now we are currently stuck in a merry-go-round formula where we have a good season and then a bad season and then a good season and then a bad season. And each time we have the good season, by the time it's over, we're punched in the mouth and we're out. So unless that changes, which this year it's not, because let's face it, the odds are not in our favor to get anywhere near the playoffs with a 2-5 record, we would have to absolutely run the table. If we run the table, then the whole narrative collapses. Then everybody's job is safe. And then, we're not talking about Eric Bieniemy or drafting a quarterback next year. That is the only way that situation changes. But realistically, everything still has to be on the table. And, as I make this video with a couple hours left to go in the trade deadline, doesn't look like they're interested in selling off any assets. So I'll pin a comment if that changes, but I don't really see it right now. So that is sort of my take on where we are heading into the next week after the Green Bay win. Everything, I think, is still the same. We just ruined our draft stock a little bit, and that's okay, because there is a number of quarterbacks that are going to be first-round eligible this year, as we see Zach Wilson continue to roll. Mac Jones is currently the biggest favorite for the Heisman Trophy, now that Trevor Lawrence is going to miss a few weeks with COVID. So there's options all around. So we don't need to get set into this. We have to go 1-15 and get a top 3 pick. That's unrealistic at this point. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.